5 years ago, I was losing 4 to 5 operators every single month at my agency, and I couldn't figure out why. So I had my assistant fill out 60 fake limo quote requests to see what was actually going on and what they were doing wrong. And the results of that test were shocking and completely changed the way I currently have ad campaigns run. Once we fixed these 3 critical points, our clients started staying, and our churn, the number of clients we were losing each month, went down dramatically. And so these are 3 different things that I see pretty much every single online advertising campaign that I've seen. These are 3 mistakes that are the most common, and these are the 3 mistakes that, when fixed, can yield the biggest returns. That's why I call them the 3 leverage points. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to fix those issues, as well as something that I never thought was possible, which was eliminating tire kickers. I'm going to show you how to get that done for your ad campaigns. So your first big point of leverage is your targeting. And when I mean leverage, what I mean is, if someone comes to us and they say something like, I tried Google Ads, but it seemed like all I got was a bunch of people looking for a shared shuttle or a taxi service or something along the lines of Uber pricing. That's when I know that there is a very good chance that their targeting is set up incorrectly. And there are 2 different components when it comes to targeting. There are your keywords and your location targeting. So keywords are things like limo service near me. That could be a keyword. And people oftentimes think that because they have a keyword that's limo service near me, that Google will show your ads only to people that search that. But over time, and over time I mean in the last 10, 20 years, Google has made lots of changes. It used to work like that, but now they're more like suggestions. And this is where you can end up wasting a lot of money if you do not have the right negative keywords. Negative keyword just tells Google, do not show my ad when someone searches this word or phrase. And each account needs thousands. Most of our accounts we run have over 10,000 negative keywords. Keywords are somewhat like a hand grenade. They used to be like a rifle, very precise, but they are not anymore. And so how you really get the right targeting is through the use of a combination of keywords, but most importantly, negative keywords. Now, the second component to targeting is location targeting. So you can target people in a given city, radius. We generally like to do a radius around the client's location. Now, there are 2 big settings that you can choose from. And one is people that are interested in a certain location or in it. And then the second one is only people in that location. Now, what we typically recommend is for black car type transportation companies to use interest, because you want someone, if you're in Los Angeles, to even see ads if they're in, let's say, London and they're flying to LA. But you also want local people to see your ads as well. And so you would want to do interest targeting. But if you have, let's say, just stretch limos and party buses, and your market isn't a big destination sort of location, then I recommend just local targeting. And even for black car only companies, if you don't have some massive budget, I generally do recommend doing local targeting only. Now, the reason is not because you can't get clients flying in from all over the world. Of course you can. But what you really want to get is repeat clients. And you have a much higher chance of this when you're targeting only local people near you. But unfortunately, this does increase the cost per lead. But at the end of the day, that's many times okay, because it increases our chances of landing a client who's going to use us more than once. And that is really the key with that. So moving on down the line, the second big point of leverage is the landing page or website you are using itself. And the reason this is so big is because if you currently get 10% of the people who click on your ad to either call you or request a quote, we call that a 10% conversion rate. If we increase that to 15%, that means we increase the amount of business you get by 50%, right? Because going from 10% to 15% is actually a 50% increase in lead volume and therefore bookings. If we get it to 20%, we double your bookings, and that's with the same exact ad spend, and that's why I call it a very large point of leverage. And the key with landing pages is making them specific. Now, a landing page could be a page on your website, right? It's really any page someone lands on after they click on your ad. Now, we recommend using separate landing pages that aren't actually attached or do not attach to other pages on your website, and here's why. When someone lands on your page, what you want is to get their information either through a quote request, have them potentially book online, or have them give you a call. And that's it. Once they've done, let's say one of those two things, they call you or they request a quote, then if we want to send them to the rest of your website after they've called or submitted their information, we can do so. But we want to focus their attention on only those things that we want them to do. We want to do that as well as showcase some of our best reviews that are specific to the service they're looking for. And so what you're looking at right now on the left side of the screen, you'll notice the website, it looks good, right? It looks clean. It's aesthetic. But what don't you see? Where's the phone number? How do I get a quote? What does this business want me to do next? Just look at this very nice photo of a newer Mercedes? No. What we want them to do is get in touch with us and get their information, because until we do that, we don't want them hunting around our website. We want them to convert. And so if we can go from getting 10 out of 100 people to convert to 20 out of 100 people, you're going to double the amount of revenue you're doing. And this is a very common issue we see when we're looking at ad campaigns that our clients are running. A lot of times the landing page is forgotten about. And the great thing about it is once you get one dialed in and working well, it works well from then on out. Meaning every dollar in ad spend for the next year, if you double your number of conversions, you double your bookings, right? And so if you're spending $2,000 a month, that can make a massive difference just by adding a few relatively simple components and having it very narrowly focused around exactly what the person is looking for. Meaning, if they're looking for a black car service, we send them to a landing page about that. If they're looking for buses, to a page about that, so on and so forth. Okay, so far we have improved our targeting. Many times we will improve the targeting of a potential client by 50% or more, which doubles the number of bookings they get. We've also improved the landing page, right? Which if we've gone from a 10 to a 15% conversion rate, that means their bookings increased by another 50%. Now, the third point of leverage is the follow-up itself. And there's really two follow-ups. The initial follow-up is getting them the quote. Okay, now this is assuming we're not talking about online booking forms, which can work for black car. Larger vehicles, I generally recommend having some sort of quote request form or a phone number they can call, or both, ideally. So I learned this lesson 5 years ago, why follow-up and how you follow up is so crucial, because back in 2019 or so, I was losing 4 or 5 clients every month, and we had 60 clients at the time. So I would get 5 new clients in each month, and then 4 or 5 would leave. And it was very frustrating because your agency doesn't grow if you're only getting as many clients as you're losing each month, obviously. And at the time, we did not know, once the lead was sent out, the phone call, we weren't recording calls at the time. We just didn't know. We knew that a lot of our clients were getting lots of leads, and when asking them what's going on, a familiar response would be, oh, it's a lot of tire kickers, these leads aren't good. So what I decided to do was to figure out, okay, I need to see how long is it taking our clients to follow up, and how are they following up? Are they sending an email with the initial quote? Is it a text message? Is it a phone call? And then are they doing any post-quote follow-up? Now, this is the type that hardly any limo companies I talk to do. And that is, after you've given them the quote, is that it? Do you never contact them ever again? If so, lots of money is being left on the table. So anyways, what we did is I used a Google Sheet, and then I had my assistant Annie at the time have all of our clients' landing pages on the spreadsheet. And what she did is she picked, I think it was a Friday, I believe, around 11 a.m. And so she went through and we created a fake email, a fake phone number that was a recorded line. And what we did is we filled out that email and phone number, and we did fake quote requests for all of our clients. And what she would do is she would note the time that she was making that request. And then we had columns for email, text message, and phone call. And in each of those cells that lined up with the client and, you know, the follow-up type, she would put the time that the actual follow-up happened. And the results were very surprising to me at the time. Today doesn't surprise me at all, because my assumption was always, if someone's spending $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month on advertising, of course they're going to do everything in their power to convert those leads, those expensive leads, into customers. Well, that's not what happened. So the average follow-up time for the initial quote was over 30 minutes. Now, of course, I removed all the outliers. Some clients never even got back to us. And so I removed those outliers. But the average follow-up time was over 30 minutes for the initial quote. Now, these are black car businesses that we were doing the quote request for, which is really the most important type to have really quick response times to. And 80% were just using email. And that means only 20% at the time were doing text messaging or phone calls, and it was, I believe, 12% were text messaging and 12% were calling, 8% were sending a text message, and virtually nobody was doing post-quote follow-up. And surprise, surprise, my clients who were having the most success were the ones following up the quickest, and doing so with email, phone call, and text message. I had, I believe, 2 clients that did all 3 within 10 minutes. I was blown away. And of course, they were the ones with the highest ad spends. Also, they were the ones, even though they were larger companies, over 7-figure companies, where the owner still was very focused on this. He might not have been doing it himself. I believe with one of them he was, but the other one, he was keeping a very close eye. And so if you don't right now have at least an SMS initial quote that goes out along with an email, or you're calling, or really doing all 3. Some prefer one over the other. I've noticed these days text messaging is by far the most preferred by lots of clients. However, if you do anything larger than a sedan or SUV, if we're talking a $700-800 job, especially if we're talking buses, weddings, I hear it all the time that, well, I've got an online booking form and people are booking. And that does not disprove what I am saying. And that is, of course, there will be some people that will do that. My point is, you are missing out on sales if that is what you are sending people to, an online booking form, and you do weddings, for instance. There's too much that needs to be, there's lots of value that can be provided via a phone call, and many times the call is actually necessary to figure out the logistics and to provide an accurate quote. So
what I recommend is start sending all of your quotes via SMS as well. Don't send 10 paragraphs. Send a very quick price, and you can have an email sent as well and let them know that all of the other details are in the email, but you want to send that quote via SMS. Now, if you can call everyone, that's the best. But if not, text messaging is the way to go. So for the past 7.5 years, when a client has been calling us and saying, I'm getting tire kickers, what can I do about these tire kickers? My response would always be, that's just the cost of doing business. That is online marketing, unfortunately, where we can target what someone is searching for. We can target where they have to be in order to see the ad. But has that person ever used that type of service before? Let me give you an example. So let's just say you're a Los Angeles-based operator, and there are two people in LA that are very close to each other geographically, and they search the exact same thing: limo service to LAX airport. So same exact search, very similar location. One person has never used a luxury car service before, limo service. They don't even know what they cost. They think it might be the same as an Uber, or maybe just a little bit more. The second person is an executive assistant to a billionaire. So same search, similar location. They both have the same exact chance to see your ad. And that is a problem. For all of you watching this, of course, that's a very big issue, right? And I used to think that there's nothing we can really do about that. That is how search advertising works. Well, enter this. So we have all of our clients using a CRM, and this is intended to keep track of their leads, automate some of their follow-up, do other things. And I would tell our clients to use it so they know how much money they're making, but more importantly, so their leads get followed up with after the quote, because I knew that just wouldn't happen consistently. Even for my clients who were very diligent, it wouldn't be consistent. And that was the only reason, or those were the main reasons I thought to use something like this. Well, everything has changed recently. What we are doing now is we are having our clients enter the data into the CRM, which they were doing anyways, or supposed to be, meaning, did they quote someone? Did the lead qualify enough to deserve a quote? If so, mark them as quoted, which initiates an automated follow-up, and then enter how much you quoted them. And then this data goes to a Google Sheet, their Google Ad account. Now, why does this matter? This matters because it solves the issue that we have had for and all agencies have this issue for over 7 years, is you can target someone based on what they're searching and where they're searching from. But how does Google know who not to show your ads to? So in that example I gave, that person who's never used these sorts of services before and will not convert into a customer would not have seen the ad our client has after Google has had enough data. We have found it takes a few months. It's more really about ad spend, $6,000 to $10,000 worth of ad spend, and we can turn this type of targeting on. So how does it work? Most of you are aware that Google offers all of these free products. They have Gmail, Google Search. Most of us have Google accounts. When we're logged into that account, we search from it. We use Gmail. We use Google Maps, you name it. They've got so many different products, Google Docs, Google Sheets, and all of these products are free. And you might have heard the saying, if it is free, then you are the product. And that is exactly the case in this situation. They have lots of data on all of us, but that's not a bad thing for advertisers if you are leveraging that data to make your ads more effective. So what you're looking at right here is an actual screenshot of someone that we implemented this for back in 2024, late 2024. And those numbers on the screen are the conversion value over the cost. All that means is conversion value is how much money in bookings did they make over the cost. So for instance, if they made, let's say, to get 6.15, that operator would have had to have spent $6,150, or sorry, would have spent $1,000 in ad spend and then returned $6,150. Okay? So we would call that a 6x return on ad spend, which is decent for this industry for Black Car. And that blue line you're looking at, I created this presentation. Today's June 8th, and I did this screenshot 2 days ago. So what you're looking at is his return on ad spend has been going up, up, up. You'll notice, and this is interesting, there's a slight dip in May, but it's going back up again. And so while we're only probably a quarter of the way through the month, this has been showing results. Each month has been getting progressively better, because here's what's happening. Google is learning who has the biggest chance of converting into a customer. And that's the difference, is when we switched it from Google, get us more leads, it's automated bidding. I won't get into the technicalities of it, but most agencies are using automated bidding, and we tell Google, get us as many leads for our budget as possible. But the holy grail is to be able to tell Google, make us as much money given our ad spend as possible. So for the last 6 months, we have been training this ad account on who are the qualified leads. When our client marks a lead as quoted, we assume that that's a qualified lead. But even more importantly, when they mark that lead as booked, that is a converted lead. And so it's telling Google this person, which there's a click ID, email, phone number, all of this data is being uploaded, as well as what was the job worth. So it's trying to find the people that booked for the highest dollar amount. And it takes a good amount of data to really get this working well. Again, $6,000 to $10,000 in ad spend is what we've been finding, but the accounts have been improving dramatically. And it's not that they're getting more leads, it's that they're converting a much higher number of the leads they're getting into sales, because the ad account is learning who their ideal client is. And so here is an overview of how this can really lead to an incredible increase in your return on investment. Because if we improve the targeting, which we always do, by 50% or more, 80%, that means that client, if we did nothing else, would double to 5x their number of bookings just from that. If we then improve the landing page conversion rate, fancy way of saying, if we get more people that click on your ad to call you or fill out a form, then that too will increase it. And so to make the numbers easy, let's say in this top right here, we improve that by 50%. That would actually double the number of bookings you get. And let's say we improve this by 50%, going from a 10% conversion rate to a 15% conversion rate. That would improve it by another 50%, which would mean this is 2x already. So now we're to 3x. And then using SMS along with email follow-ups and getting those follow-ups happening quicker, that could go from a 3x return and add on an additional 20% more bookings there. So that would be 6x. And then eventually, once we connect the CRM to the ad account, and for any of you watching this, this is why having a CRM is so crucial to your long-term results with online marketing. I used to not think it was as big of a deal. Now I know it's not just about that follow-up, that post-quote follow-up. It's not just about knowing, okay, well, we spent this much on Google and this much on Bing, so Google's getting us this return, Bing's getting us this return. Those things are all important, don't get me wrong. But the holy grail in this whole thing is improving the quality of the leads themselves. Because I know that if I were to ask my customers, would you prefer that we double the number of leads you get? Or let's just make the leads you get that much better. So instead of booking 1 out of 5, or to make the numbers easy, let's say booking 1 out of 6, you go to booking 1 out of 3. So your lead volume doesn't increase. All that increases is your close rate, and it doubles. That is really what everyone wants. Don't get me wrong, an increased lead volume is nothing to sneeze at. But there's nothing more frustrating than getting tire kickers. And I've known this for years and years and years, and I thought it was just a given with online advertising. Well, not anymore. Now, the catch here is it relies on our clients to actually enter the data in. And so now there is a bigger reason than ever, not just in order to follow up with your customers, not just so you know what your actual return is, not just so that you get more review requests, but so that your ad account over time learns who these ideal clients are, so it stops showing the ads to tire kickers. And that right there is how you can get incredible results with a paid ad search campaign. Specifically, we're doing this for Google, but for our clients that have higher Bing spends, we will do it with that as well, because nothing will make a more dramatic difference than that.